Hey guys, so when you get here for your go home lesson, I'm going to have a page that looks similar to this on the desk, and we're going to review it, but there are pieces of it that I want to explain, especially if any members of the family weren't in the evaluation that didn't get a full rundown of the training technique. So let's start with the balanced approach. When you sign up for this training, we discussed how the training will be done. We talked about different tools that'll be used as well as the technique itself. So we call the technique a balanced training approach. And the reason being is because we are consistently explaining to dogs, yes, no, good decision, bad decision. When we're giving them that yes, we generally do it through physical and verbal praise. There's obviously a pretty broad spectrum on how much praise we could be giving our dog, right? So if we put that spectrum on a scale of 1 to 10, for me, a 1 out of 10 for praise would be just giving eye contact. Many people own dogs that are easily excitable that they take to training. So there are a lot of dogs that are on that lower side of the spectrum, right? We're able to just give them some eye contact, give them a simple good, yes, maybe a really light pat on the head, and that's an effective form of communication to tell the dog, yes, you're doing the right thing. There are other dogs that are on the complete other end of the spectrum where we're having to give them a full rub down, like, oh, you're so smart, what a good dog. And so those dogs would be closer to a 10, where we're giving a lot of emotive verbal praise and a lot of physical praise as well. Now, the praise level that we give is going to differ based on the environment and the distraction level that we're in as well. So there might be moments where we're in a really high traffic area, and if I go, yes, what a good dog, my dog's going to start bouncing around and losing it. But if it was just the two of us in our house and they nailed something for the first time, I might be able to get away with that level of praise. So this is where we have to be able to read the situation, the level of distraction that we're in, and make sure that we're giving enough praise that our dog is buying in, enjoying it, that they feel fulfilled, and they know that what they're doing is the right thing. That's when you know that you've hit the right level of praise. Okay, so what you do in one instance won't always be the level that's appropriate, but we want to make sure that our dog isn't overexcited from the praise that we're giving. So if you give praise and your dog immediately breaks the thing that you were praising them for, like they were in a sit and you yelled, good job, and your dog stands up and is bouncing around now, it was too much praise. But if they're in a sit and you say good, and they continue to hold the sit, it was an effective level, okay? Now, to balance all of this out, our dogs are going to make poor choices. That's a fact of life, just like humans. All of us make wrong decisions just as frequently as we make right decisions. So when we're communicating to our dogs that they've made the wrong decision, there is a sequence that we use to do that. When we are doing it through obedience training, we're going to use one of the collars that we discussed during the evaluation. The 3 options that we generally use here are a martingale, a slip chain, or a prong collar. If you don't know how to use those 3 collars, there is a follow-up video on how the collars operate. But pretending that you know how the collars operate, and we're just getting into how we use them in the technique. So there is a spectrum for how much of a correction our dog would need to pay attention or stop doing the inappropriate thing, right? So a scale of 1 to 10, for a 1 for a correction, I'm going to give this flimsy little flick of the wrist, right? It's enough where my dog maybe hears the collar moving but doesn't feel much pressure, if any at all. A 10 would be, I'm using 2 hands and I'm cranking that leash as hard as I physically can muster, so much so that I feel it in my abs. Okay, it's going to be very, very rare that your dog would ever receive above an 8 out of 10, right? If our dog is receiving that large scale correction consistently, we're not using the right tool, or we're not using enough of our other training tools. We're operating outside of our dog's grade school level. Something is going on that's made it so that our dog can't function without such a large correction. So we need to take steps back, okay? Your dog is going home on the tool that's appropriate for them, that keeps you under really a 5 out of 10. So if your dog is a very soft, sensitive dog, they're probably on a martingale. If your dog is the average dog that comes in here and we need a versatile tool that's able to give us a lot of flexibility, they're probably on a slip chain. And if your dog is more high-strung, anxious, aggressive, very strong muscular build, there's a fair chance that they're on a prong collar, okay? So without getting into the why your dog is on the tool that they're on, let's get into the how we use the sequence. So if we give our dog a command and they do it, we praise on our scale of 1 out of 10. If we give our dog a command and they don't do it, we say no with our snap of the leash and then repeat the command to them. So the most important part of this training technique that you've probably seen multiple posts about is how fast that correction needs to be. We call that correction when we snap the leash and say the word no. That's a leash correction. So the speed of your correction, whether it's a 1 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, needs to be the same. In the amount of time it took for you to say the word no, the pressure was gone, there, gone. Okay, so there's no prolonged pressure held in this training technique. We are pairing the word no with pressure on the collar, and then pressure is gone. I've been telling people the past couple of months, if you imagine when you were a kid or maybe recently where you spin and snap a towel at somebody, that's how fast that correction needs to be. Your hand needs to feel like there's a rubber band pulling it back to your body. So as quickly as you create pressure, let it go. And you might need to practice that without your dog being the guinea pig. A follow-up to that in this sequence is we have to tell our dogs how to fix it. Okay, if we're just saying no, no, no all the time and we're never telling them what they could be doing to be right, where's the drive? Where's the help? We're not communicating effectively. So that sequence again is, let's use an example. Albus, sit. No, sit. No, sit. No, sit. Good. Okay, so that was an example of it taking 3 corrections to get Albus to sit. As soon as I got the sit, I praised. Now you might have caught that each correction gradually became more intense. What my dog was communicating to me was the level of correction that you're currently giving is not enough to make me decide to stop doing this thing and start doing the thing that you want. So your correction level needs to bump up if your dog isn't responding, and your praise level needs to probably be bumping up in moments where they are responding to you to keep a driver going, to keep them motivated to stay engaged. Okay, so that's a rundown of how we use the balanced technique for your go home lesson. Hope this helps, guys.